Hey guys, it's Elle. What is up? I hope you guys are all doing amazing. In this video, we are going to be talking about shadow work, how to do it, where to start, what it looks like. Honestly, just everything, kind of just a beginner basis of what shadow work really even is. And so I hope you enjoyed this video, and like and comment and subscribe if you feel a good energetic pull to my energy. And yeah, let's just get started. So the first thing that I want to say about shadow work is it's dealing with the part of yourself you don't want to deal with. It's the jealous part of yourself. It's the hatred, it's the resentment, it's the sorrow, it's the grief. It's all the negative attributes about yourself that simply some people like to ignore. And some people go to therapy and counseling to deal with their shadow work. So shadow work is a form of understanding your traumas, understanding your subconscious negative limiting beliefs. It is realizing what your comfort zone is as well, because when you start to do shadow work, you start to understand where your comfort zone is and the little box that you've put yourself in. You start to acknowledge that little box that you've put in yourself in and start to gain more awareness and start healing. And so, like, I guess the really biggest thing about shadow work is dealing with the part of yourself you don't want to deal with, and the part of yourself you kind of just shrug away, or you suppress, or you don't acknowledge, or say negative emotions come up. Say you start to have an anxiety attack, or say you start to feel these depression thoughts come up, or sadness and sorrow. Shadow work is dealing with those emotions in a healthy way. And there's no right or wrong way to do shadow work, because there's so many different ways that you can do this. So I kind of just want to give you a baseline of understanding it all. One way that you can do shadow work is you can find shadow work prompts and do some self-reflection with yourself, with asking yourself questions, because shadow work is like dealing with yourself as a best friend. It's reflecting with yourself as you would sitting there with your best friend that has problems, and that you know how you're sitting with your best friend and they are expressing themselves to you, and you're giving them advice, and you're giving them a way to, handle their life and advice and give them something to reflect on. Well, shadow work is doing that for yourself, right? So being that person for yourself. So one way that you can do this is shadow work prompts, and you can ask yourself questions and reflect upon yourself. And most of my shadow work prompts that I do use, mostly I just find on Pinterest, or you can find them really on Instagram as well, because there's so many good questions on there that have helped me understand myself more. I could also name some, also give you guys some shadow work prompts in a video if you guys are interested in that. I'm not too sure, but yeah, you can really just find them on Pinterest or even on the internet, because a lot of people already have great, amazing questions. And so another way that you can do shadow work is talking with a therapist or talking with a psychologist, because they're there to help you with your subconscious triggers. Because when I've went to therapy and I've went to go see a psychologist, they helped me go back to my deep wounded traumas that I could not deal with alone, that I couldn't talk or go through sitting with myself alone with those thoughts. And so what I did with myself is I took my ass to a psychologist to help deal with those traumatic events with me. And what she helped me with was help dealing with the subconscious patterning that comes with that. So I've had a lot of traumatic events happen to me, but there's also a lot of still subconscious patterning going on my brain, like still in my brain to this day because of it. And shadow work is helping you deal with that. So another way you could do it is talking with a therapist, talking with a psychologist, because that's really beneficial as well. The third thing I wanted to say is your triggers. So say you're having a conversation with somebody and they end up triggering something in you. They end up kind of, getting this weird reaction out of you, or something that just doesn't feel you know, it triggers you, like something in you is ignited, and that's your inner child that gets ignited when you get triggers. And so when you get these triggers, the best questions you can ask yourself is, where is this coming from? When's the last time I have felt this feeling in my childhood? What does this event have any relevance to my past? Does it have any relevance to my past? Because you'll start to realize that this world works in cycles. So whatever cycles that you were put in as a child, meaning whatever happened with your mom and her family, and whatever happened with your dad and his family, those traumas, if they never healed or actually reflected upon these traumas, they are now putting these traumas upon to you. So now you're going to notice certain events happen in your life that have been created because of the trauma that you had in your childhood with the trauma that they had in their childhood. So you're now breaking a generational curse because you're dealing with your triggers. You're dealing with these things that are triggering you. If you cannot think back to your childhood and remember a memory or a traumatic experience that happened to you, don't worry, because I can't remember a lot of things that happened to me that were traumatic. But what your body remembers is the feelings. So you can go back within those feelings as when's the first time that I probably felt this feeling, and when did it come about that I started feeling this feeling. So addressing and working upon your triggers are really important, because you're gonna get put through situations and things during your life that are going to trigger you, and you may not know where it comes from, but you being responsible and dealing with it and asking yourself these questions and reflecting upon it will benefit you. And it will only benefit you because you're doing the work with yourself. Another way that I have also helped and understood my own shadow work and dealing with my negative, egoistic side of myself is she comes up, as if I call her she, but my inner child comes up when I'm going to do something that my old self wouldn't do. So when I'm trying to get out of my comfort zone, my old self and my past self will try to pull me down and tell me that I'm not worthy, that I have really low self-esteem, that I shouldn't do this because there's no point and it won't even make me feel good. These types of things. And another thing with shadow work is putting in the work to change that mindset, putting in the work to changing your subconscious beliefs, because your subconscious beliefs have been there since you were a child. And whether somebody else put these beliefs in your brain, or whether it was the media, whether it was your family, whether it was experiences that you've had when as a child, they make up you. And they make up your identity until you become aware that they don't need to make up your identity. Your traumas and the things that have went on in your past doesn't even identify as you. That's not you. That's not who this is the scary part, because okay, so when I was going through my shadow work and healing journey, I was like, this was the scariest thing, was who am I without my traumas? I don't know the version of myself without the trauma that I've been through, because it happened so young. And so I don't know the version of myself that's pure and innocent and has all this, you know, bliss and joy, because that was kind of ruined for me because of trauma. But I now have found a place where I have healed a lot of my trauma, and I'm becoming a different person and a better version of myself because of it. And I've now realized that I don't identify with my past. I don't define myself with my past, because I'm making choices and decisions not based upon my past and not what other people told me to do. Because I have a really hard, this is an example. I have a very hard time making decisions. I'm literally indecisive, and I thought this was because I was a Libra, but an evolved Libra can get over this indecisiveness and become decisive. And what I had to do was I had to look back into my childhood and realize that I was never able to make a choice for myself without somebody telling me that it's wrong, or somebody telling me that I should make a different choice, or that happened my whole life. And so now I can't even choose where the fuck I want to eat, because I constantly have been getting feedback and questioned for my choices or what I was doing. And so that's a form of shadow work. Me just having that awareness of knowing where my indecisive comes from, now I can make the steps into healing it. Now I can say, Elle, it's okay to make a decision. Elle, it's okay to say what you want, because I was never able to say what I want. But now I'm making the room for myself, which means welcoming this shadow self, this shadow work, the things that you're doing with shadow work, me welcoming this shadow part of myself into me, and making the space and the room for my inner child and for those experiences and those things, but now making different choices. Now knowing that my indecisiveness comes from this, so now I can do things to better myself. Because one of the best things that I did for myself was understand my life, was understand my traumas from a different perspective. I had a perspective of poor me. It's everything that happened to me was my fault. I caused it. I created it. I had to have whatever. I also blamed other people too. I blamed other people for the way that I was feeling. And I have been sexually assaulted and I have been abused. And that was kind of out of my control, but it still has caused trauma for me. But for me to heal and become a different person from how I felt because of those traumas, I have to reflect on them, and I had to understand where these people were coming from. For the abusers was that I realized that they were abused in their childhoods, and they were running from the trauma that was caused in their life. And when you run away from your trauma and you think that it's just gonna go away, you start to become it. And that's the scary part. Because the more you say you don't want to be this way, and you don't, you run so far away from it, you end up eventually start to realize that you bring it onto your kids and you create it in your own life. And so I had to realize with the people in my life that did those things to me, I had to realize that they were only doing what they knew. And it sucks and it's sad, but a lot of people are so unconscious that they are unaware of their actions and how actually fucked up they are. And so I had to find a place in my heart to forgive these people and give them love, and know that I can't change them, I can't control them, but I can send them love and forgive them and let go of those feelings and that anger and that hurt for me. Because yes, I know I didn't deserve that, but that doesn't mean I need to go out and get revenge. I don't need to go and do those types of things. But for some people, it would be speaking up about it. For some people, it would be going to the police and feeling that's where they would get their healing from. But for me, it's just been a little bit different. And for people that have been raped, I'm going to say that because I don't want to say it. I don't want to say the R word. For me, personally, I felt so weak. I felt so it made me feel very powerless. It made me feel a lot of different things until I had to take my power back from that person. I realized that that person didn't deserve to make me feel weak, to make me feel those type of emotions, because that person was dealing with their own shit, and they maybe probably got another thing, sexually abused, when they were in their childhood essence, and they ran so far away from it and suppressed it so much that they also became it too. It's a reality. The more that you run from something, the more that you become it. The more that you face it and you heal those parts in yourself and take that power back, you don't create it again. And that's the ways that you can do shadow work. And that's a pretty tough topic. So I mean, if you guys want me to talk about that type of stuff in another video, I can. And I would be, you know, yeah, I would be open to talking about it. But shadow work is also a process of staying present with yourself. So when you get into like an autopilot mind, or you get into dissociative states, you're not aware of what you're doing and why you're doing it and what's happening. You're kind of just existing and doing it. But when you get to this place where you're sitting in the present moment, you're conscious and you are aware of your actions in every single moment of time. I'm not worried about what I was just talking about 5 minutes ago. I'm here now. And that's what that means, to be present. It means to be aware of you in every single moment of time and not try to escape and wish that you were somewhere else. It's being exactly where you are and knowing that's where you're supposed to be at that moment of time, not wishing it was something else. It's right there. When you start to gain this presence, you can deal with your traumas and your shadow work a lot easier, because as you're flowing in the present moment, you're now in a safe place where your trauma and your shadow work and these negative subconscious patterns will come up. And when you're present in the moment, you can be aware enough to change them. If you don't agree with something that your brain is telling you, that's when you kind of have to step in and say, no, this is what I believe, or no, I am worthy, I am deserving, no, this is, Because you can write down affirmations and you can write down things to help better yourself, but if you're not doing the work in the present moment, then you won't know actually what subconscious patternings are affecting you on a daily basis. Because now that I'm present in the moment, I'm aware of what subconscious patterning comes up in my daily life. And now I can deal with them in the present moment and allow myself to feel these emotions because I'm here and present with them. The last thing I'm going to say is allow yourself to feel your emotions. So it doesn't matter what type of emotion this is. I'm saying feel everything. Allow yourself to feel that emotion when it comes up. If you have an emotion of sadness, if you have an emotion of anger, if you have an emotion of resentment, if you have to, in order to work through them, you have to feel it first. It's a little uncomfortable, but you have to sit there with yourself and you have to feel it. And then you'll get to this place of acceptance and forgiveness, and you'll realize that you can let that go and choose to think something positive after the fact that you felt it. But the reason why a lot of people have bad days and it lasts all day is because you're not feeling your emotion. You're kind of just trying to suppress it, and then it's affecting you on a bigger basis. You'll see people complaining. You'll see people reacting at little things because they're dealing with something deeper than the actual external thing. They're just using that to make an excuse for how they're feeling inside. So if you can get to the root of the problem before it becomes, oh, my cup just spilt, or I just stubbed my toe, I just had all these negative things and these bad things happened to me today, but it wasn't those bad things that were actually causing you to have a bad day, like the physical things. It was the deeper thing within you. So allow yourself to feel those emotions when they come up. It may be hard, it may be difficult, but be there for yourself. Hug yourself if you have to. Tell yourself it's gonna be okay. Say good affirmations to yourself, like I am calm, I am happy, I am whole, I will overcome this. I protect my peace, I take my power back. There's so many different things that you can say to yourself to boost your confidence in those moments of time. And you just gotta be your best friend. You gotta be there for yourself and reflect with yourself and sit there and make time for you. Just to conversate with you and get to know you. And a way of doing that is dealing with your negative attributes and flaws alone. Because if you never deal with your negative attributes or your flaws, or you're unaware of what is negative about you, because of course we all deal with flaws. But if you don't know your flaws and you don't know your imperfections and those types of things, then you're gonna have people throw them at you until you acknowledge it. Because most people are also reflections of you. If you can be aware of yourself and understand your own energy and heal yourself and evolve at the same time, you'll be growing so much and you will conquer so much. You won't have to have experiences that bring out your trauma and your negativity because you're already working through it and dealing with it. Yes, you will have experiences that help you understand your trauma and understand your cycles, but it's less likely to happen all the time because you're sitting there and dealing with it and working through it in the present moment. So just know that everything happens for a reason, even your emotions. So when random emotions come up, you just have to allow yourself to feel them, give yourself that love and compassion for whatever emotion you're feeling, because that's being there for your inner child. You're the one that's saving and rescuing your inner child when you do that. Your inner child is not looking externally for somebody else to save you. You're now saving and rescuing yourself by healing the things in yourself that are negative. So I guess those are kind of 4 ways that you can do shadow work and understand shadow work, but there are even way more ways to do it. Another way I could say to you before I end this video is healing your inner child in a way of good and positive and loving things. Take your inner child to the store and get it your dream toy. The toy that you didn't get as a child, go take yourself right now to the store and go get that for her. Because when you're doing this healing with your trauma and your inner child, it doesn't always have to be in the times where your inner child's lashing out and reacting and all these different things. You can also go and play in the mud. You could go stomp on leaves. Whatever felt good to you as a child that was positive that you could remember, because there might be one thing that you can remember back to, whether it was your favorite food as a child or what you liked to do as a child. Bring yourself back to that, because that's also healing as well. Not in a negative way where you're like, oh, shadow work, what the fuck is this? Like, this is so hard. You have to deal with all your negative emotions. But it's also, you can go take your inner child for a goddamn walk. You can go and play some Minecraft on your phone. Play some video games, because that's probably what your child self would have done. Like I said, go swimming. Go play in the mud. There's a lot of different things that you can do to help heal that inner child as well. So I hope this video helped. If you guys have any ideas of what you guys want me to post, let me know. And yeah, hope you have a good day, night, or evening.